the old bucket hat, which I'll try on for size. So I'll start with the biggies, the big three as they're sometimes known as. Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. This is the rucksack I am going to go with. This is the nature hike, and it is not the smaller one, this is the 60 litre. I chose the bigger one because we were pretty much needing to bring all the food for the whole way, or most of it. There may be options along the way. Because I don't eat meat or dairy, it's a bit of an issue as well, like what the options are going to be, so I can't rely on it. So yeah, basically bringing most of the food, and I want to have that leeway. I haven't actually tested this rucksack out on trail, which may be a big no-no, but I know it packs well enough, and I've had enough that I can tell generally if it's going to work. There's good cushioning on it. There is an issue, which is the chest strap on it is in the most ridiculous place. Like it sits about here on me, and there's no way to actually change it unless you modify the pack, cut that off. And for me, where I would need to have it here, which would be ideal, I would actually need to cut through I would need to cut through this shoulder pouch, because that is attached on there. So I'd actually need to cut a hole in the side of it to get a strap through to change that. Might do that this week, or wing it with it at where it is, or just don't use the chest strap. It's not something I use all the time, but it can be nice to have as an option. This bag, really well made, off AliExpress, cost about 60 to 70 pounds with tax, postage, whatever. I've looked at plenty of reviews on it, but everything looks really good quality apart from that chest strap thing. It's a roll top bag, which some people might think that means it's waterproof. It's still not waterproof, like most rucksacks aren't, and will need to be lined. So that just rolls down and then clicks down the sides to lock it. It means there's no lid or lid pocket. That is something I'm so used to, that actually packing this has been a wee bit of a quandary. Things that I would normally instinctively just go, that goes in the lid, that goes in the lid, that goes in the lid. Yeah, I don't have that. I'll have to figure that out. There is a little pocket on the front here, which actually I keep forgetting exists, so I think that will accommodate some things I need to grab quickly on trail. Things like potentially a water filter, yeah, stuff like that. There is a very generous mesh pocket, and it is super stretchy, so that is brilliant. You can end up probably putting too much stuff in that, but that is for the win. Definitely, there's pretty generous mesh side pockets, not as generous as some things like the Osprey Exos or whatever, but generous enough to take 1 litre water bottle plus something else. Say those straps are really nice, thick, well padded, and this pack weighs in at like about 1 kilogram, so it's brilliant. Nice big hip belt pockets, and I like that the zips pull back away from you, so that's easier to close them up. And hip belt straps I like too. I like that you pull away from the hip belt rather than having to pull that strap the other way. That makes no sense anymore. So the pack's great. They say it's not waterproof, even though it's got the roll top. It is, I would imagine that's highly water resistant, but I'm imagining we're going to get pretty heavy rain at some point in this trail, so rubble sacks, garden refuse bags, something pretty tough. I used to use dry bags, but dry bags are actually, there's a fair amount of weight in them, and they always end up not being waterproof at some point with stuffing your things in and out of them, whereas with this, you know, it's like, yes, once it gets ripped and it's not usable, then they'll switch it out for another one, but much lighter. So crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. So yeah, everything will go inside that, and that's especially things like your sleeping bag. So the big three: rucksack, tent, sleeping bag, whatever. I think that's what they are. Maybe not. So my sleeping bag is going to be the OEX Helios 3 season. They say 3 season. I do like OEX bags, but I feel like they're pushing it with some of their warmth ratings. But I think I also underestimated this, and it's 750 grams downfill. It's going to be warm enough, and it just saves about almost 250 grams on my other bag that I use the rest of the year, because I do feel the cold, and I do want to know that I'm going to get into a tent and be warm in my sleeping bag. If it's not warm enough, but I know even if it is, it's like I'll wear a base layer, so I will be wearing base layer, top and bottoms. I'll probably have a pair of socks, like warm socks, that I'll put on and keep all that as my camp gear or my tent gear. So that's the thing that'll be going in first in there. Now, controversially, I'm not going to bring my IKEA pillow of dreams. I think I might, but what I might do is use 2 buff neck gaiters, and then put a puffy jacket into that, use one and then the other to sort of contain it into a bit of a square, but keep it loose enough that it's not like just a block. And I might use that as a pillow. I will keep you posted on that one. Sleeping mat, this is incredible. The sleeping mat I tend to go with is my X-Bed down mat. I weighed it and realised it's like about 650 grams. The lightweight option that I have is punctured and I can't find a puncture. So I treated myself to one of these, the Vango Atrium. Atrium in Gaelic means lightweight, apparently. This is 410 grams. It's one of the lightest mats that I have seen on the market. Slightly above that is 415 grams is the Robin's Vapor 60, which Christina has on the way in the post. I think it's actually arrived in my workplace. And then after that is the Alp Kit Cloud Base, which is about 420 grams. This is incredible, and the pack size is nuts. And I thought once that came out of the bag, it wouldn't go back in at that size, but I actually did manage to, although it's maybe a wee bit bigger than it came. But gee, that is just ridiculous. There's no R value. R value of 1 means there's nothing. But that's okay, because I just want that lightweightness. And I say I don't expect, like, even during the warmer months you will lose some heat underneath, but one of the things I basically always bring, just some foil bubble wrap basically that I've cut the size. I was being a wee bit over exaggerative, and I was actually had a piece cut out to cover the entire floor of the tent that I'm bringing, and then my girlfriend maybe see sense and so I've cut this piece just to basically 180 centimeters and then like 25 centimeters or something like that, just to go underneath the mat, just to reflect some of that heat back up and not lose it into the ground. So, and this is really, really light, and it's, you know, pretty flat. I can slide that down the front of the pack, and then everything else then goes into the liner, but that goes in first, because once you've got everything in there, it's hard to put that in after. Another vaguely controversial thing is I am going to be bringing a camp chair. I am bringing this. This is the Snowdy carbon fibre chair that some of you may have seen breaking. Fortunately, my little seat of dreams, the 500 gram one with carbon fibre poles, is cracked. I might be able to gaffer tape it enough for tonight, but yes, it's not the chair that I thought it was going to be. So I'll be back to aluminium alloy. Oh well. So yes, forgot my tent, so and also my chair broke. Life gives you lemons, make lemonade, lemon juice. In some of my previous camps, I have temporarily fixed it with a cable tie essentially. Still a wee bit cautious with leaning back on it, and I don't really need to lean back on it. I just want something to sit on when I'm cooking, or just to sit on if I don't want to be in the tent to drink a cup of tea. I don't need to be leaning back on it. But this only weighs in about 500 grams, and a lot of ultralight chairs, the cheaper ones, would be about 850 grams up to a kilogram, which for me, that's really pushing it. I really would second guess bringing one if it was 850 grams, but at 500 grams, I'm definitely going to be bringing this. That'll just add that extra bit of comfort if we're having to sit around a campsite or wait it out in the rain in one of the Adirondack shelters or whatever. So yep, definitely coming. These are the tent poles, and I will be carrying, so we're splitting the tent that we have. The tent that we're going to use is the Fern Gakuta, I always mix it up, I think it's Gakuta, 2-person. I did have the 1-person, switched it, I got the 2-person, which I will use as a solo tent as well, because it's so light, 1.5 kilograms, it's got 2 porches, a bit more headroom, a bit more space. So we'll be splitting that, so I'm taking the fly sheet outer, along with my little outer rig first setup that I made. There's a video previous to this. where it'll show you how to make one of those. So I'll be taking these poles, and I will be taking this, which it's not a 3FU. That's just a bag that I've put the outer into. I just never use most of the bags that things come in. But even if I wasn't splitting that tent between two people, I would still not use the bag it comes in. I would separate it. Poles always go down into the side pockets. Pegs typically will either go in the side pocket with them or in a lid pocket. And then I would always keep the inner inside my dry bag if it's mostly dry, and then keep the outer as the last thing that goes in on top. Once everything's sealed and waterproof, then the outer will go on top of that, which is here. So still in a bit of a water resistant stuff sack, but it's not so tightly packed that it's rigid and then creates a weird awkward shape, so that'll still mold and shape around whatever I need it to mold and shape around. So yeah, I think that weighs in about a kilogram or under. Let's say the whole tent weighs 1.5 kg, so they're about 750 grams each. And I just realised I think the big three is tent, sleeping bag, and sleeping mat. Yeah. So and I typically pack these along with sleeping bag, is my insulating layers. You know, when I'm hiking, I'm generating body heat. It's whenever I stop is whenever that body heat goes. So we'll have some extra additional layer that I'll have quick grab. So if I'm stopping for, a cup of tea or wherever, look at the view, just take a break, I'll have a stopper jacket or an insulated jacket just to put on quickly so I don't lose my heat. But generally you're walking, you're generating heat, you're best walking in less layers. So quite often I'll put in my insulating layers in with my sleep gear. These are super toasty. It's Power Stretch, basically, generically it's Power Stretch. Polar Tech probably maybe invented it. It was Power Stretch back in the day, but it's a stretch fleece, and it is like a hug. It is just incredible, the heat that this brings with minimal weight. It's just that stretchiness, and it just grips you, and it's lovely. So I wasn't sure about bringing this, but it's about 100 grams less than the other puffy I was looking at. So this weighs in about 350 grams. And most jackets are in around that 500 grams. I think this will give more versatility. So I'll bring this for the first layer, and that'll go over my really thin microgrid fleece that I'll mostly be hiking in. This would go over the top of that, and then it'll be this high gloss, which I think is the Spar Mimic. So something like that. This is about 50 quid. And that was brand new. And I don't like brand new things really, but I just love, these fit me really, really well. Love the chest pocket. Yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely jacket to wear. Not too thick. And again, this is weighing at 350 grams, which is crazy for a puffy jacket like this. This is a RAB Goren, by the way. So I actually got this second hand for about £15, maybe £20, like brand new. They're between like 80 to 100 or something. But yeah, it's like I typically shop on Depop and eBay and Vinted these days too. And I picked up some cracker bargains. So that's the insulation puffy layers. Like realistically, I'll probably keep this one, which is windproof, wind resistant, a quick and easy grab thing. This one that'll be going in with my sleeping bag, along with, well, I don't know, beanie. I think a beanie will possibly go in with the sleeping stuff, just so as soon as you get to camp you can whack those things on, and you got your heat sorted out, and that's your sort of camp setup. I quite often, if I'm storing things in baggies, this is actually just a wee veg bag that you can buy in Tesco's or Lidl's and Sainsbury's or wherever else you buy your groceries at. I just modified one. I think they cost about 30p, 45p something. I just have a whole pile of these wee toggles, got off AliExpress, and basically just modify them so I can actually, cinch that in. But I like to keep them nice and loose so that they still mould. If it just jam it full, it creates this block, and I like that it's mesh and see-through so I can see what's in it as well. So it doesn't need to be a dry bag and waterproof, because the whole setup is that they're going to be in a rubble sack and be protected from the wet anyway. One thing that I probably do actually put in a dry bag just in case, because I really don't want this stuff to get wet, is my spare clothing. I'm still torn because there's so much weight, I think, and I'm like, part of me wants to get rid of things, but then I also don't want to be stuck having to wear, you know, wet socks the next day or whatever else. I say I did do a video on clothing options and clothing choices, so I won't go into it. It's important that these things stay dry, so yes, I'm using a silicone nylon Life Venture dry bag, one of the few dry bags that actually seems to work pretty well, and is actually one of the lighter options in dry bag land. Size wise, that's the kind of size that the spare clothing is going to be. Other things are going to be the outside of the pack as well, quick grab stuff. So waterproof over trousers, those are mountain equipment, Gore-Tex Active. They cost about £100 at the time, but I've had them for about 10 years. North Face 3-layer Gore-Tex jacket, weighs a bit more than I would like, at about 550 grams. This cost me about £40 from a second-hand shop in really good condition, and I've used it and I trust it, so I'll probably bring that. And they'll go in the mesh pocket at the front, and then when it rains, stick them on, put the rain cover on over the pack. Regarding rain covers, this pack does have a built-in rain cover, but it's black. If I was camping in the forest, wouldn't mind too much for an overnight, but what I will be doing is switching that out. This is just a Regatta High Vis rain cover. Now this is one I already have, it's 35 litre. It just about, like, I hate it whenever these are too big, and they tend to make these really roomy, so it's easier to get onto a pack, but I'd rather have one a size down so it's nice and neat and doesn't flap about in the wind. So I've actually, the shop I work in sells these, so I've got a 50 litre one ordered in. And I'll basically take that out of the wee bag, and then I'll put that into the rain cover compartment at the bottom of the pack, take out the black one that came with it. It means there's a lot of road sections basically, and a lot of these roads are quiet, some of them aren't as quiet, and also depending on what's going on. Recently there was a festival on where the traffic that is normally totally non-existent was actually quite busy because there's traffic coming to and from the festival. So I'll bring something like that just in case for extra visibility, just to minimise the possibility of dying on the Wicklow Way. This is my water filter kit. Probably seen this in other videos for the few people that watch my videos. Basically Sawyer Squeeze. I got that cheap because I think it was actually sold as a bucket filter thing, but it was the Sawyer Squeeze was in with it. And then the CNOC water bag, where the dirty water goes in, attaches to the filter, and then squeeze out clean water into a clean water bottle. And I will be using these active water bottles. The Sawyer Squeeze actually filters as threads onto that perfectly, unlike the smart water bottles that they use in the States. So bear that in mind. So this will be my clean water. I'll bring, you know, 1.5 litres maybe with me, but 1 litre of water equals 1 kilogram. So you want to minimise how much you take, be sensible. Yes, you don't want to get dehydrated, but you also want to be sensible about the amount of weight you're carrying. Here's just a pair of Regatta flip-flops. These are going to be on the outside of the pack, partly if they get wet, doesn't really matter. But also if I want to air my feet out, so that could actually be mid-hike. So in some ways they're camp shoes for whenever I get to camp. If I need to get out in the middle of the night and go for a pee, put them on. They're super adjustable, which means if I'm wearing waterproof sock combo, you know, they'll fit over even thick, you know, foot socks or whatever. So yeah, but they could be pulled out mid-hike, and potentially even walked in as well, like especially if it's on boreens on the road sections, and things like the hip belt pockets, or in my bum bag. So bum bag or chest pack. This actually has, one of the reasons why I bought it was it had little loops here. So I do have wee lightweight carabiners there, just so if I want to use it as a chest pack I can. So it'll sit up here, and then I can have things that I need on the trail, like, you know, these little fruit bars or peanuts, which is the more likely one. And also for the journey down to Dublin, I'll probably have to put my rucksack into under the compartment underneath the bus, basically. But I want to be making sure that no valuables are in the rucksack at that point, and I want to have snacks for the journey, tissues, whatever else, earphones, whatever I need, and so that'll probably be in here. when I actually start the trail, what I put in here might be a bit different. Starting the trail, what will be in here will be different things. So there'll be hand sanitizer, some hands are clean if I'm eating my food. I've got some sun cream in there, but I intend to cover up as much as possible, hence the bucket hat. Also on that note, I normally wear baseball caps, but I've also noticed on a sunny day, which are very rare in Ireland, and it's easy to forget what you did the last sunny day and what worked, but there's the open D at the back, and if you're baldy like me, that bit at the back that's open, you get a little D shape of sunburn on your back of your head, if especially the sun's shining from behind you. And hence why this is here, to give a bit of protection all around my baldy head. So inside here also, realistically, because I'm going to be making videos, I may well have my little Lavalier mics. Got little Ziploc bags in here, one bigger one to put most things into, and then a smaller one or two to put some of the smaller maybe gizmos in. I'll also probably put my little card reader in there. Possibly I got myself a DJI Pocket Osmo 2 or something like that, which I'm going to experiment with. I'm so not used to it, I may end up just using the phone, but it means using up a lot of battery power on the phone and storage space in a memory card. Head torch doesn't really need to be in there, but it's one of those things, if you end up, you're in the zone, you're hiking, it's getting dark. Obviously it's not getting dark that early in Ireland at this time of year, probably till 10:30, but if you're in forests, especially monoculture plantations, even if it's like the middle of the day, it can get dark. The dark woodland. It's kind of spooky and eerie. And if you're having to camp in somewhere in that area, and that's even at 8 o'clock in the evening, that can be quite dark. So having a head torch handy, so that you're not having to try and find it in your rucksack and wherever you've put it. So actually it's not a bad idea, I think, to have a head torch in somewhere like that bum bag or your hip belt pocket or something like that. This is just a wee 4 class. I love this little head torch. It's super lightweight. It's been bright enough for me to walk with, and seems to last for a decent long time. And it's called the Bivouac 500. It's only 100 lumens, but I've never found any issues with that. There's 2 brightness settings, but also I love that it goes to the red setting straight away. Like, that's for me, especially camping, so you don't blind your camping buddies unnecessarily, unless you really want to. So yeah, very happy with this Eagle Creek Ranger XE3L, whatever, blah blah blah. But super good quality, and got that for 15 quid in TK Maxx. Toiletries, this is my little toiletry bag. This isn't exactly, I'll probably bring an extra little toothpaste thing. I refill these with regular toothpaste, so I'll probably bring 2 of those, I think. Yeah, and this is just a little Tesco pencil case that I got for about 50p. There's a Decathlon 4 class Quechua, whatever, towel, quick drying towel in there. Brilliant for drying off your feet and whatever else. I'm not going to use it for the tent. I made that mistake. I used to use this towel for the tent, and it gets wet, and it does take long enough to dry, and then it gets really sodden. It is really good at absorbing moisture, but it becomes an issue. So, and I think thanks to Hazy, Haze Outdoors, and he was the first person that I've seen basically using these. These are great for drying off a tent or a tarp, so I'll be bringing these. Thanks to Hazy for that advice. So for the most part, that is what I'm going to be bringing, give or take a few add-ons. Say there'll be more food in there. I have to make a decision about bringing walking poles. I have decided to take out puffy trousers and my little booties, to save some weight. In general, I'm just keeping in mind while I'm making these choices, it's the extra 100 grams, which may seem like nothing, but 10 extra 100 grams, whether that's the difference between dehydrated food and hydrated food, or whether it's the difference between bringing the RAB Goren, stretch fleece hoodie, or the Surface Flex, puffy, it's a 100 gram difference. All of those add up, and the difference between 15 kilograms carrying that and carrying 13 kilograms. I've carried 13 kilograms in a few, longer trails, overnights, and 13 kilograms seems like my sweet spot. And I only found that out just through trial and error. There is actually a formula for your body weight and the kind of weight you should be aiming to carry, and actually it does come in for me at I think 13 kilograms. So that's what I found to be a comfortable carry. It didn't seem to hinder me and hold me back, and even if going up a hill, bearing that in mind, every 100 grams makes a difference. These again are little pencil cases that I bought in Home Bargains or Tesco's or something for about 99p. Just wee neoprene ones. This is one that I use for my technology stuff. So I've got a little flex tail pump lantern in there. I actually have, oh yeah, I've got this little travel plug. So yeah, not obviously on the trail. Well, maybe on the trail if we find like a cafe, or if we are going somewhere. There's only about 1 or 2 places where potentially we will go into that are on the trail or slightly off trail, where we might end up using those. 2 different leads in there, micro and USB-C, and I actually bring little fairy lights that run off a wee button cell battery. It's just a nice little homely touch. This is the power bank I'll use. This is Inu. Don't want to Inu. I like it. It has a little indicator for the amount of charge it has. That's really handy. 2 outputs, so I can charge 2 things at once. Could be like my head torch and my lantern pump, but not likely. Or whatever else. My phone is the most likely one. So it is in there as well. That is a 20,000 milliampere power bank. These things weigh about 400 grams. I think this one's 350 grams, I think. But it's one of those things, especially if you're using a phone, you kind of have to bring it. I'm just going to weigh it. Okay, I just weighed that and it's 360 grams, but it's a no-brainer. I'd rather go with a 20,000 than a 10,000. I want to have those options. Why, this one's got a wee light built into it. I can't remember how do you get the light on? Oh, that's it. Like a wee emergency light. Nice. This is another little Tesco pencil case. This is first aid and little repair bits and bobs, not too much in way of repairs. Some cable ties. I've got some nylon repair patches for the tent. I've got some gaffer tape around the little card, some needle and thread around that little card. Got things like ibuprofen. Got some rehydration sachets in there too. I've got antiseptic wipes, I've got plasters, some blister plasters, but the plan with the plasters and the blisters is basically if I get a hot spot, put Lugo tape on, don't let it become a blister. That's a lot of like self-discipline and awareness to do for that, so that you don't end up with blisters and having to use things like Compeed, which are more expensive. There's a little emergency foil blanket in there, but I've never used one of those. But you never know, that's not worth not bringing maybe. There's a few things like antihistamine tablets, but I've got hay fever. But I typically just sneeze it out and don't take them anyway, but there might be a day where I'm like, I really want to take these. One of those things, hopefully don't need to use anything in there really, but I'm definitely going to be bringing it. Scales say that this is 160 grams. I would probably like to get it down to less than that. So I might skim some stuff out of that, but I never want to risk that when it comes to safety. And there's some things you need to bring. Hope that you never use them, but you wish you had when you do need them. So I'll be very careful about what I do skim out of that. The specklies, yeah. I need glasses, especially if I'm looking at the phone, following maps, reading the guidebooks. The question is, will I bring a spare pair of glasses? Well, I will be bringing this, my more worn, needs a wash, baseball cap. Again, it's this bit is where the sun gets in and can leave you sunburnt in the back of your knobber. Should give that a wash, but I'll probably just ingrain it with some Wicklow dirt and then wash it after. Just leave it in for posterity. Cook kit, and the cook kit is my new DIY windshield, super lightweight. That just slides in that stuff sack with this. This is like a wee 1 litre sort of 1-person pot. I like that it's wide enough. that it's easier to stir things and not let it get stuck to the bottom. I like that it's stainless steel. I'm not one of them titanium people. I've just where it's like lightweight, thin base. I've found things get stuck to the bottom and it's really hard to get in and scrub it out. Stainless steel, just scrub everything off it and get it back to new. I love the little system with the handles on this. They lock the lid in place, and the lid acts as a strainer as well if you're cooking things like rice or pasta. Now I've got my little GSI drip filter for coffee. I'll probably stash a few tea bags in there, but also have some separate. I line this with a buff, which I use basically as a tea towel, essentially to dry it. It also stops things rattling around inside. Inside there's a little folding fork sport thing which comes from Decathlon, super light, not a super long handle, but because this is not a like skinny tall titanium thing, this is perfectly ample for that. Sea to Summit moon cup, Sea to Summit cup for coffees, teas. I don't like drinking out of those, they're not nice to drink out of, but some things you need to sacrifice on the trail. This is my tiny, but this is so good, reliable, trusted so much. BRS teeny weeny stove, costs about $7.99. I think I got that for. It's crazy. I'll be bringing 2 of these canisters, so I'm going to bring 2 of those. I bring a little scrubbing thing, but I've cut down a wee bit smaller. I've got canister stand. I don't like that one, it's already broken, it's a bit too bulky, but it's there, it's the one I'm bringing. I'll also be bringing a lighter. A lot of people use Bic Minis. I do like Bic Minis, they are tiny, but I like this in that I can see how much gas is left in it, so it's more reliable for refilling. It's also got a wee emergency torch on it. I did a video just there showing some other alternative meal ideas that might work, and then I'll put them together, but I imagine it's going to be double the size of that. If I get to little towns along the way, I'll probably be picking up things like hummus and a baguette, or olives is another option. Those are poles or no poles. Will I bring poles? Will they help me carry the things that are going to be in my rucksack? So if I'm carrying that extra 500 grams, extra 200 grams, extra whatever, will these, which weigh I think 400 grams, help me carry that weight? Will these no longer be actually carryable weight? They will no longer be weight carried in my bag. There will be something that is helping me to more efficiently move with that stuff that's in there. Existential questions. Where's Socrates when you need him? But it is best to travel light in more ways than one.